Hello, and welcome again to our orientation program. It is the second part of the session on home-based caregivers' rights and obligations. In this part, we'll talk about salary, severance pay, and state deposit, about deductions from salary, about medical insurance, work accidents, paid holidays, housing, and we'll summarize towards the end special rules and limitations for foreign caregivers. Some of them we discussed in the previous section, but here at the end of this section we'll discuss and summarize those limitations that we discussed through over both parts of this session on this topic. Now we'll start this part talking about salary, and we'll mention that the minimum wage per month for a full-time job is 5,300 Israeli shekel. And the full-time job is approximately 182 hours per month. The minimum wage per hour is 29.12 Israeli shekel. The salary shall be paid by the end of the month for which it is paid, and no later than 9th day of the following month. Which means that if that you're supposed to receive salary for August, not later than 9th of September, and the salary for February, you should receive not later than 9th of March. The salary shall be deposited in the caregiver's bank account, open in the caregiver's name in Israel, in which no third party has rights or power of attorney. It means that you will get assistance from either the family of your patient or placement agency to go to Israeli bank and open there an account on your name, and your monthly salary will be deposited right into this bank account, and only you will have an access to this bank account. Permitted deductions from salary for accommodations and related expenses, medical insurance, and specific debts shall not exceed 25% of the salary on any given month. We will discuss through this session in a few minutes different deductions, but you should remember that all of these deductions can be more than 25% of your monthly salary. In case the employee, the worker who is dismissed after working for one patient or in one place of employment for a period of 1 year or more, is entitled to severance pay, which called in Hebrew pitzui pituim. The rate of severance pay is 1 month's wage for each full year of employment with one patient or in one workplace. Onwards, the agencies transfer the share in the severance pay and pension to the state deposit fund, and you will receive this sum after 15% tax deduction, which is also important to mention, when you leave Israel for good. Here we're talking about state deposit. You might hear this term before, even before you arrive to Israel. Deposits into the fund can only be made by the agencies, and according to the guidelines, fines will be deducted from the fund gradually, starting 90 days after the date of the caregiver's legal termination of employment, and continuing every month over a period of 6 months later until the full sum is zeroed. In previous part of this session, I mentioned that by the end of your legal employment, you have additional 90 days to take care of your things that you wanted to finish, to get ready, to prepare to leave the country, and Israel grants you for all these purposes 90 days, which almost 3 months. But after 3 months, you need to leave the country. And if you won't do that, then, as I mentioned before, the money from deposit will start to be deducted, and will be done month after month, and all this money that was accumulated for a long period of time, which is a very nice sum, will be unfortunately deducted. So we strongly not recommend you to do that. Additional deductions that are made from salary. Health insurance is, as you can see, it's 143.11 Israeli shekels per month. Food expenses can be deducted from the salary up to 10% of the minimum wage, and no more, even if your salary is more than minimum wage, the food expenses can be not more than 10% of minimum wage. And you can also the salary can also be deducted for residents, depending on geographical area and if the residence owned by employer or not. Yeah, then the sum of deduction also depending on that. Additional living expenses, they can also be deducted from the salary and up to 79.99 Israeli shekels per month. So these all together, but possible deductions from the salary. Medical insurance. The employer shall provide the caregiver with private medical insurance, which includes the services set out in the Foreign Worker Ordinance. All of you who coming under bilateral agreement starting to have medical insurance from day one when you land here in Israel. And your employers are those who are obliged to assist you with that and provide you with this medical insurance. The deduction in health insurance refers to the lower of the following: half of the amount that the employer is required to pay for the actual health insurance, or the fixed minimum amount in the regulations that are 143.11 Israeli shekel as of January 2021. Workers are encouraged to review the treatment basket and medication basket listed in the policy, and can be accessible also in many HMOs on the website. So you can just go there to find out which HMO you are being insured and to check this basket online. You can also call this call centers, and they can also provide you with information on that. All of them speak English. Sick pay. Upon presentation of a medical certificate certifying that you cannot work due to illness, a patient must pay the worker's salary when the worker is sick. The rate of payment is the following. There is no payment for the first sick day. For the second and third day, consecutive days of absence sick day, that you shall be paid 50% of your salary. The pay is 50% of the daily salary. From the fourth consecutive day of absence sick day, you shall be paid 100% of the daily salary. The above payments are subject to caregiver's cumulative period of sick leave entitlement, which is 1.5 days for every month in which the caregiver was employed by the employer, up to a maximum of 90 days. It means that whenever you start to work, each month you will start to accumulate 1.5 sick days. And by the end of the first year, we'll have 18 days. By the end of the second year, if you won't use any of the sick days, of course, you'll have twice as long, which is 36, and etc., etc. So if you, God forbid, got sick and you don't have enough cumulative sick days, you will be paid only according to what amount of sick days you have. And the opposite is correct. If you got sick and you have, let's say, 10 days, and then you need to use only 5, then you will be paid accordingly to that, and not for full 10 days that you have been accumulated. It just remains unused, and you can use those sick days for payment next time if you again become sick. Work accidents. There are 3 types of work accident that may meet its definition as a payable work accident: work accident, occupational illness, and microtrauma. Work accidents, we want to draw your attention that it is very important to document a work accident and have the maximum details. Write the date, write the time, take photos from the accident, pictures of the wound and the situation by using your phone. If there are witnesses to testify about the case, ask the phone number. Paid holidays. The worker has the right to 9 paid holiday days per year according to the worker's religion, as long as the holiday do not fall on the worker's weekly day of rest. The worker who took the holiday off has the right to be paid a full month's salary for this day. If the workers worked on her holidays, payment will be 150% of the normal payment per day, and the worker has the right to take a different day off. It's also very important, but we strongly recommend you to communicate and to discuss these details with your employers before you use those days. Weekly rest day. Workers are entitled to 25 consecutive hours of rest day per week, which includes a rest day according to the worker's will and or religion, and can be at or outside the patient's home. If you work on your rest day, you should get a salary of 150% of your regular salary, in addition to your monthly salary. In addition, you should get a different rest day. It is also important, and is also recommend you to take your days off and rest days that you obliged to have. And in case you're being asked or need to work instead, it's better that you also coordinate it with your patient and his family member if needed, and won't have misunderstandings, and they might agree for you to have this rest day, but also they might want still to ask you and be ready to pay those higher higher price, 150% of your regular salary for this day. But they also need to remember that then they need to get you another day off instead. Annual vacation. The worker is entitled to 16 paid vacations days each year, in addition to the weekly rest days. The worker taking vacation will receive the normal monthly salary. So if you had 16 days and you didn't take them off, then whenever you go on vacation and have only 16 days, all of them will be paid as normal monthly salary. Of course, if you have we want to go for longer vacation and have less days being accumulated, then you will be paid only for those days that you accumulated and you are entitled to have. Please remember that worker must notify the patient at least 2 weeks before his or her vacation in advance. The caregiver and patient may agree that the caregiver may take only 7 vacation days per year and accumulate the unused paid annual vacation days to be used within 2 consecutive years. Housing. The patient must provide suitable residence for workers. Reasonable housing arrangements for the foreign caregiver will be in the home of the invalid patient. And as I promised in the beginning of this session, a few reminders of special rules and limitations for foreign workers, for foreign caregivers. First of all, there's special obligatory period of prior written notice for caregivers. Previous section of this session, we discussed depending on how long you've been employed, how long in advance you need to notify in written way both your patient and his family, her family, and placement agency. It's very important because family is being counting on you, and it takes time for them to find replacement in case needed. So don't forget that you're obliged to provide prior written notice. Geographic limitations on change of employment of caregivers. We talk about Tel Aviv area, central area, and peripheral area. And I'm reminding you that only those who have Tel Aviv area and they visa can work everywhere whenever they need to switch employment. Those who have central area can work both in central and periphery if they have such a mark in their visa. and those who have permit only for periphery can work either on north or south and not in any other areas. Special supervision of foreign caregivers who have frequent changes of employment. This, you also need to know that in case you will switch employers frequently, there will be special supervision of your work and your switches again in case this happens. Requirements concerning registration by foreign caregivers placement agencies. We remind you that you can be legally employed without being registered in one of the 100 placement agencies that have a special license from Population Immigration Authority. And last but not least important, reminder that due to the COVID-19 situation, it is important to be aware of new guidance of Ministry of Health. You can follow the updates on the website of Ministry of Health, and also ask again the both placement agencies and the family of your patient to update you if any new regulations coming up into the force, because your health and health of the person that you're taking care of, the patient, is very, very important. And I'm in the middle of this work. Thank you very much, and we will see you in our next session.